his ability to push the ball down the field, like he's just a really good player. It's just kind of, he's really fucking good. Now, I watching the game today, I kind of understand where the McCaffrey MVP people are coming from. I get it.
One of them,
but that he just has no chance to win it over Purdy, just the way the votes go. Just like the Giants never had a snowball's chance in hell to get Ohtani. It's just like it was never even it wasn't even an option. But this can be a conversation, and it happens with a lot of non-quarterbacks sometimes during the season, and then they never really get close to winning it. But I definitely think, like, you just watch the guy play and you go, Jesus, this guy's fucking good. Like, he's really, really good. And his ability, his accuracy on those schemed plays we talked about forever that Jimmy never hit, he hits them. And that Purdy play that they knew that Love was going to bite on the Kittle play. Now, Kittle makes it happen to the touchdown, but that's an explosive, at minimum 30-yard explosive play. And they've missed that play for years, and he hits it with ease.
Yeah. Put it on his shoulder. 25. I went back and looked at it. It was 25 yards in the air. It was 25 yards on the run from Kittle. The Debo throw was 50 yards in the air, right on the shoulder. And I think what was similar about both those deep balls, and I went to a lot of Niner practices, John, and camp, and what did I tell you? I said the Niners don't hit any of these deep balls in practice. They do not hit deep balls in practice. They didn't do it in training
practice.
Well, they did it in these games, and part of the reason was Debo was more open on that ball than he ever was in practice. Debo gets covered better in practice than he does by Jamal Adams. And actually, the ball to Kittle, they hit that ball in practice. But the over-the-top deep ball to a receiver, they don't hit in practice. And I thought watching the throws a couple times, what was so interesting about him, what Brock does really well on that deep ball is the ball's not in the air long. Like, he does throw that deep ball low. He doesn't throw that high arcing deep ball that some guys throw. You go look at the Debo, like Derek's lollipop. Even Russ kind of threw it high. You go look at the throw to Debo. That ball gets there, I think, probably not, his arm obviously doesn't throw it as hard as Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes would, but the ball takes the shortest distance between 2 points. Kind of what Debo is as a runner, which is not the fastest guy, but I think Debo plays so fast in part because he always has great angles and he doesn't have to slow down really much to cut. And Purdy's deep ball to Purdy's deep ball to Debo and to Kittle today, if you look at them, they are like, in terms of distance covered, they cover as little distance as they have to, which what does it do? It gives those guys more time when they get the ball to make a move because the DB isn't getting on them quickly because the ball is getting there fast. So I don't know how to measure arm strength. One way might be on deep balls. How quickly does the ball get out of the hand and to the guy? And even though he doesn't throw it as hard, he throws it low. And now the problem with throwing it low, just like jump shooting, remember when Steph started changing the game, there are all these articles about the arc on a shot. And the higher the ball goes, the better chance you have for the ball to go through the basket because you give yourself more space to travel through as opposed to a steep descent, angle of descent. Well, Brock has a steep angle of descent on those throws, so they got to be on the money. Well, both of them were on the money because throwing the ball deep to Debo, you don't have a ton of wiggle room. Like Debo, you're not going to throw it up to him and Debo's going to chase it down and catch it over the other shoulder. And like, he's really good, big catch radius over the middle and on the wings and everything like that. But deep ball, Debo doesn't have a big catch radius. Like, you kind of just got to put it on him. And he did. It was perfect. It was perfect.
Well, he's just not a deep ball. Like, he's actually, his catch radius, like in traffic, is pretty good. Right? Like,
yeah, for sure. I just mean like the landing zone on a deep ball to Debo is not big.
Now, I would say the Kittle play is one, if you're a good NFL quarterback, you just got to hit. Like, that to me, like, it's in rhythm. It's clearly a scheme play. The Debo play is just a tough play. Like, even Mahomes and Allen overthrow that sometimes, right? Just because they have so much arm strength. I do think Purdy put as much into that as he can. Like, he kind of revved up and let it rip, but he hit him in stride. And because the guys chasing him are fucking slower than molasses, they never had a chance. But like that play is, I mean, the Niners have never made, like, you got to go back to like Kaepernick before you ever hit plays like that. Like, they've schemed. Honestly, it doesn't even feel like Kyle would ever even have schemed that play up in the past because it's like a waste. The Kittle one, to me, versions of that. I'm not saying that exact play. Like, they've been doing forever, and it feels like they hit at a clip that's very, very small, like 20%.
Yeah.
And it feels like Purdy's going to hit that at a clip of like 90%.
I know.
And then, to me, the Debo thing, the coolest part about that play is this: it is just possible. Like, it's just possible. Like, you watch, like, at any moment, like, the Chiefs are never out of it because you're like, even these weird wide receivers, Mahomes can make something sweet. Obviously, Josh Allen. Lamar can really push the ball down the field. Jalen, in theory, when he's healthy, can push the ball down the field. If Purdy can do that, because we know, the difference between him and Jimmy, like when Jimmy was good, like he was pretty good at the slant routes and he was good at the screen plays they like they were hitting those. They just weren't doing anything else for the most part with any consistency. And now he does it, I would say, like clockwork almost. And today he was really, really accurate for the most part. I guess he missed a couple, but it almost looked like miscommunications on some throws.
Well, that's the other comparison with, not that Jimmy is not the standard, but one thing with Brock so far, the interceptions he throws, for the most part, there've been, what was the bad pick he threw? Was that the Browns, the second pick in the Browns game? Or the first pick in the Vikings game was the bad one, right? Turned out post-concussion pick.
Yeah.
That was
the one against the Bengals where the guy was right in front of him and Kyle's like, bro, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
Remember, it was like a screwed up play and the guy was right in front of him and it was that was pretty – Kyle said that was like his worst play of his career.
But I would say for the most part, like his picks, kind of like the one he threw today, we're just kind of like, oh, okay, something weird happened on that play, right?
Well, the way they diagrammed it really quickly, and then Ayuk's talking to Kyle, it was understandable because at first I thought he missed him, right?
Yeah, I thought he missed him bad. I was like, he was so open? How did you miss him?
Then Greg Olsen came to his defense
immediately,
and it still might be on him. They just weren't on the same page. I don't know. It's not like Ayuk looked like he was saying like my fault, right? It might have just said like we weren't on the same page, which is fine. Like you can live with that pick all day long.
Yeah, the point is most of his picks are not bonehead or just throws to you. Where did that throw come from? Right. That's
he doesn't airmail guys like Jimmy either. Like that you could argue that pick with Ayuk. Little lucky because the trajectory, the guy had to be kind of diving play.
He got deflected.
Yeah. So to me, the
almost got Kittle killed on the first throw of the day, but
if you're going to send your tight end over the middle a lot in traffic, like
3 times in a row,
he's going to get hit. But Kyle's fucking running McCaffrey at the end of the game. So it's,
yeah. It was, he's on a historic pace, John. Look at this from a football perspective on Twitter. If I can get it up here, Purdy has 3,500 passing yards on 359 attempts. He's averaging 9.9 yards per attempt. That's the highest average by any passer over the last 65 years. It's a hair ahead of Kurt Warner's 9.9 yards per attempt in 11 games back in 2000. Warner was good, but had an interception rate of 5%. Purdy's interception rate is 2%. John, I took the liberty of going to Football Reference to find the highest yards per attempt in NFL history for a single season. Here's your category leaders. Sid Luckman in 43. Otto Graham did it in 53. Andy did it in 47. Norm Van Brocklin did it in 54. Kennedy was alive for all of these seasons. Ed Brown did it in 56. Then Kurt Warner, 9 in 2000. And Otto Graham did it also in 49. So Otto Graham did it 3 times. The great.
So really the only relevant
person Otto Graham
in a game that like would be Kurt Warner. Like
Correct.
There's no Peyton Manning's, Tom Brady's, Brett Favre's, Aaron Rodgers, Marino's, Elway's. That's the other thing. It's like, and I would say the irony of this list is like, I feel like his most vocal supporter on the social media streets is Kurt Warner. Now, clearly they know each other. There's no way that they don't have a relationship here in Arizona. An NFL assistant, what's his name? He actually used to play for the 49ers, coached at his high school. Fucking Troy Aikman's former assistant. Like NFL people are just kind of around here. They retire here. They keep coaching. I just think a lot of them know each other. And this guy was a high school player of the year. So it's like, he has a dog in the race, but like what he's saying now is like, how do you even debate it? Like, what are we debating? Because the whole debate always was like, who are we comparing him to? If you're going to say like, yeah, he's the next John Elway, like, hey, okay, pump the brakes. Or he's going to be Joe Montana. Like, yeah, we got a long ways to go. But this season, he's fucking unreal. How could anyone debate that? Especially those couple throws today. And just honestly, his whole season. Because he's going to end up, he's 25-7 right now. If he gets to like 32 or 33, even if he throws 10 picks, we always said, like, I can live with picks. If you throw 30-plus touchdowns, you can't be the Jimmy, like the 13 when you're throwing 22 touchdowns.
Yeah, if you have a historic yards per attempt, just think about that. If I'd come into the year and told you Brock Purdy's going to have the most yards per attempt of any quarterback who, wore more than one bar on his face mask ever.
I just feel like these guys, the offensive guys, really like playing with him. And why would you not? It's like, yeah, I really like playing with, Magic Johnson. Like, pass me the ball. So,
right here, right where
it doesn't get him. That's even when weird shit happens, it never gets weird. It never gets weird.
No, well,
because he's lived up to those guys putting all their chips in the middle and laughing at everyone this offseason. I mean, he's going to have one of the great 49er seasons of all time from a quarterback. Now it's weird. I mean, their best quarterbacks did play in different generations, right? They were not, like, I think Steve Young's best year is like 35 or 36 touchdowns. So
right.
If you're having like the best year in the history of the Colts or the best year in the history of the Patriots, you'd be like, or now the Chiefs, right? It's, in future years, it's a little different, right? Because over the course of the offensive explosion, Kaepernick was never throwing for 30 touchdowns. Obviously, Jimmy Garoppolo never was either. So you're not attacking guys that with, 40 spots up consistently in the prime of their careers. But still, it's really, really impressive. I mean, he's a lock Pro Bowler, the true one, not the fake one. And he's just, continues to be in the MVP conversation. Now, is he the MVP of the league? It's also, you could say, inflationary times, like deflationary times of MVP candidates. It's not like there are four guys. There's not like two, a Peyton Manning season while an Aaron Rodgers season and this guy where you'd be like, okay, those guys. You just look around the league. Like who's Mahomes is definitely not winning it this year.
Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, all the guys.
Yeah,
Lamar.
No. Jalen Hurts, no. Lamar did have some moments today where you're like, yes, might be the best player in the league today.
He did. Yeah, but winning the award doesn't actually mean if there was a draft, would you go number one overall? He was 70%.
Historically, a lot of times, though.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you, but yeah, you're right. But even if Dak wins it, he was 70%, John, 19 to 27, 368, 2 touchdowns a pick.
Career high.
122.1.
Do you get credit for the Ayuk play or no? Do you not get any yards on that? You know how that works?
What?
The Ayuk fumble? When Ayuk fumbles, you get yards?
Absolutely. That counts.
So you get it up to the point where he fumbles.
Yep, for sure.
And does Ayuk get credit for the catch and the yards?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought that, I think.
But then you see the NFL, sometimes, you never know. NFL rules are weird. Things get wiped out. Like, why does Ronnie Bell's hold equal the late hit when the hold happened past the line? To me, you should get the first down. Then the hold, you get penalized backwards from, the low block where he slipped and fell.
He didn't even die. He slipped and hit the ground. Now he was going to take him out.
Yeah,
I think when he wasn't.
You think he was going to have an illegal block anyway?
Well, was that going to be a block in the back?
Yeah. All right, ball don't lie on that one.
Yeah, I think the sad part is non-field goal. Which I'm sorry, I don't count making a field goal as like a special teams play. Like I do a punt return, a kickoff return, a block punt. I think that's the greatest non-field goal in the Kyle Shanahan era on special teams. What say you? He just took off. He was untouched. He was flying down the sideline. It was fucking incredible.
All right, I'm convinced.
When do they ever do anything remotely close to that?
It wasn't even called, I don't think. After the game, Shanahan was like, well, I don't know. Maybe he bobbled it. I don't know why he took off. I haven't talked to him yet.
I think he just saw just green grass.
Yeah, it was, he worked outside of the structure.
Do you know what I could see? I could see Schneider, the new Hightower, him and Wisnowski. What are they doing all week, right? There's got to be some downtime, like sitting there, maybe, a little after lunch snack, kind of bullshitting over a couple Gatorade Zeros and go, you notice? This guy always bites, but I can't tell Kyle because he will never allow me to do a fake punt. But here's what you do, Mitch. If you see him go, and you better make sure you fucking see him go. But if he does it, run, baby. Because I feel like that's one where
Kyle won't let me call it, but
he's at enough screw ups where if he brings it, like Kyle's like, oh, we don't need it this game. Like we're not wasting it. We're gonna be winning. Don't do it. And I wonder if they saw and they just kind of kept it, went rogue in the sense like a good rogue.
Right.
Now the problem is
Kyle with this one. He doesn't.
What if they went rogue and the dude coming off the edge had done a spin move, tackles him, fumble? It could be fire Brian Schneider. It's pretty risky.
It is.